So excited to talk to you.
Yes.
Can I just tell you that you were doing the damn thing on that damn video?
Thank you so much. I mean, I can't tell you how much support I've been getting lately. And
I bet.
Just stuff that I never even thought of, never dreamed of. And so I'm so fortunate that so many people just like you are finding me and thinking I'm one of the cool kids now.
You are definitely, you are the cool kid.
Thank you.
Let me tell you, I found that video on I think it was Twitter, and I was like, oh my fucking God, I have to talk to her.
This is the Upworthy video?
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool.
Which has to be viral, I'm sure.
It's I guess as viral as it can be. It's definitely gotten, I think it's over 1 million views. I think it's probably like 1.2 or maybe like 1.3.
Wow.
So
did you anticipate that?
I'll say that again.
Did you anticipate that?
No. Even a little bit. So I definitely wasn't prepared for that. I've had a ton of new followers on my Facebook page, which has been great from it. And like I said, every so often, new people are kind of jumping in there. Like, I'm so glad I found this. So I'm so fortunate.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Like, we are so fortunate because let me tell you that as a big girl, like, I don't have a skinny past. It was so refreshing because there is this idea, that, and I'm not like, of course, all stereotypes have some level of truth, but there is this idea that everyone that is full figured is immobile and that we just sit around like eating Twinkies and shit. And that's not the truth. That is not the truth.
It certainly isn't the complete truth. That is maybe on Sundays when I don't care.
Right.
But it's the other 6 days a week when I'm running around the city. Nah, son.
Wow. So tell me, how did you get started pole dancing? Like, tell me that story.
Sure. So I started about 8 years ago. And for anybody who's listening, I'm in New York City. So I took this class called Pole at Crunch, Crunch, which is a chain of gyms. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
Before that, I have no formal dance or gymnastics training at all. So I did not do well. I'm not talking about I was just stumbling. I'm talking about I got my ass handed to me repeatedly for 90 minutes. But it was the most fun ass kicking I've ever had in my entire life. So I was hooked from day one. And, pole is one of those sports, I call it a marathon sport, because nobody is good at it for a long time. You have to be in this thing for a minute before you really start to see results. And this is not just like a quick, I'm going to take class, the next class, I'm going to get better, and pretty soon I'm fine. And no, but it's all of that hard work is extraordinarily worth it. And I love it to death.
Wow. I haven't ever tried it. Let me tell you.
We got to change that.
Yeah, my older sister talks about it all the time. And last year I took a belly dancing class. Delusion, okay. Let me tell you. I was like, oh, I got this. I'm going to be like, I was struggling. Like,
belly dancing is so serious because it is all muscle isolations.
Completely. Like, you can't get ready. So that's kind of like when she started talking pole dancing, I was like, I don't know.
Well, I start out all of my classes, no matter what level I'm teaching, I'm like, look, guys, you're probably going to suck at a lot more things that you're going to be good at today. And that's fine. So now, since you know that, can we just have fun sucking?
Right.
And what happens is when I kind of give my students permission to screw up and to fail and to fuck it all up, that's when they actually start learning stuff, because then they're a little more brave and they'll try things that they are definitely ready to try and start learning, but they've been too scared to in the past because they didn't want to look stupid and disappoint me.
Yes, that is so huge. It's so interesting that we often are so worried about what even an instructor or a
Oh,
coach
yeah.
or whatever is going to think about us, and it really gets in the way of us being able to even enjoy ourselves.
Yes, it absolutely does. I have seen that time and time again. So that's why I want my students to know that this is your workout, and I'm just excited that you're there. And true story, for anybody who's out there listening and has ever been like embarrassed about when the teacher starts walking around and sees them in class
Mhm.
and thinks that they're like the teacher's looking down on them. We're never looking down on students, at least the good teachers aren't. We're so happy that someone showed up that we don't care what happens after that. Everything is a bonus. We're just so damn happy and we still have a job and
Right?
people want to come and hang out with us. I don't care what you end up doing.
I love that. So, how did you go from trying a pole dancing class that was the hardest thing you've ever done to being
Yep.
an instructor? Like, how did you go from there to there?
A lot, and I mean a lot of bruising, sweat, sore muscles, a lot of gym time, and a fantastically supportive squad.
Wow.
You know, I don't think there's anything special about what I did at all. There were no magic pills. I didn't have, like a private pole coach that got me someplace. Like, no, I took class once or twice a week, and it's just been persistence. And, I do believe, a lot of people say this and it sounds cornball and it kind of is, but I really do feel like pretty much everybody is capable of also being successful at pole dancing. Because as I mentioned, there's no trick story, there's no surprises in what I did. I kept my ass in the gym. That's the big thing. And now, did I love every time I did it? Hell no. And this is where my squat comes in, because when I thought I didn't deserve to wear that outfit because it was too revealing, or when I wanted to get lazy in class or not go to class, my squad, my friends were right there to say, "Heifer, show up and show out. Now shut up." So, and also all the teachers that I had, none of them looked at me as being an equal. Is that a word? I hope so. Looked at me as being unequal to the other students. I may not have been able to progress as quickly or do as difficult of move as my more slender counterparts, but I was still expected to work just as hard as they were. And had my instructors treated me differently or shown any kind of doubt, I would have freaked out. And it definitely would have set the tone that it's okay for me not to work hard because I have an excuse, and they also weren't expecting anything of me. No, they expected everything of me. And so that I've tried to take that into my own teaching now, when I kick my students' ass. And they know, even if they're doing a different move than other people, I still need them to die a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So like in terms of like body shame, like how did it show up for you before and how does it show up now?
Sure. So with body shaming, there's no question in my mind that the person who was who said the worst things, the most hateful things, and who continues to do that is me.
Mm,
There is not a single person, a single internet troll, or anybody else who has hurt me nearly as much as I have hurt myself. And people think because I'm a super extrovert and that I'm always loud and bubbly on the internet, that I have this incredible sense of love in my body and I truly love everything about it. That couldn't be any farther from the truth. I have a lot of self-esteem issues because it's non-existent, and I'm still trying to, I put it this way, I don't hate the way I look anymore, but I can't say that I love it, not even close to it. I love parts, and I think some parts are okay, but I am the number one body shamer of myself.
I'm so glad you said that. I just wrote an article about that.
Yeah.
The body shamer is you, and I think that it's impossible for someone to say or to wound you. Even if someone says mean things, the wounds don't hurt nearly as bad as the stuff that we say about ourselves.
No. If I had said the things out loud to someone else that I'd said to myself, I'd be in jail. It would qualify as emotionally abusive for someone else. So you are, at least in my case, hit the nail right on the head that it starts within.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Do you find that because as you get stronger, does the voice get nicer, or at least does the volume go down?
I would say the voice does get a little bit nicer, and I feel like it's nicer because pole and just working out period have given me a new reason to look at my body other than being hot for men.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a lot of my shame started, because I never considered myself pretty, and because I always thought I was too heavy for boys and now for men to find me attractive. And so when that is the sole purpose of my body and I failed at the sole purpose, that's where the roots of my own personal shame and embarrassment are. But when I started working out, now my body has a purpose beyond looking like a hood ornament for men. Who would have thought? Oh right. My God. And that is absolutely seeing that I can do some cool shit, and that there's more to beauty than just size. It's definitely helped me start to heal. And also my perception of beauty in others has absolutely changed. There is still, I hate most of the fitness industry, by the way, a good 75%. Can't stand that shit, because most of the image of healthy is still very slendered, blonde white women. And I love my slender blonde white women. I'm friends with like 5,000 of them. So no hate.
Right.
But that's the only thing that we see. And it's so based on size, and it's based on shortcuts. I'm going to give you something really cool in 6 weeks and then you'll find your abs. No, bitch, you won't. That just does not exist.
Right.
And sorry, I lost my train of thought of my pontificating. But essentially, now that I'm around a ton of women and men as well, but mainly a lot of women, that we look at each other like, man, do you see those biceps, son? That's hot. And it's not just she's pretty, but it's I want to be as strong as her. And recognizing different types of strength and flexibility that go with that. So what I would define as success at the gym and also aesthetic success is definitely much different than it was years ago.
Wow. What a great gift. From taking a class that was hard as fuck.
Yo, son, so hard. Still to this day, hard as fuck.
Wow. So were you already in the fitness industry when you started that?
I was just an innocent bystander. So I was what I call caught in the girl cardio trap. At that point, I'd started going to the gym actually about 8.5 years ago on a regular basis. So 6 months before I started pole dancing, I was bouncing around the gym, and I'd done that. I started going to the gym again because even though I'd been, involved in sports pretty much my whole life, all through middle and high school, and a little bit in college, but not really. Once I graduated college and I got a desk job, the weight already packed on to an already overweight body. And I was just sedentary, not doing anything but going to work and coming home and eating and going to sleep. And so I sort of had my rock bottom moment when I went to go button a shirt one day, and it was a double XL from Old Navy, and it barely fit, didn't even really fit. And that was at the time, the biggest size that they carried in the store. And that was my moment where I was like, all right, let's get your shit back together. And so I, at that time, had no idea what I was doing. And I thought if I just stayed on the treadmill for a million hours or did all these cardio classes, that I would suddenly lose a bunch of weight and I'd be pretty and healthy and everything would be great. And I was making zero to little progress in that. And I didn't know why. I stayed away from all the classes that now I teach, ironically. I was like, ooh, they look like they're doing boring gym stuff. I don't want to do that. Next. And that looks scary. I don't know about weights and crunches. Next. And truth be told, when I started doing pole dancing, it was my introduction to strength training and resistance and using my body weight. And that's when I really started to see a difference physically. Pole dancing, it's very personal to me, not just because it's fun, but also once I started doing it is when I started losing weight. Mm-hmm. And like so many people, I am always on that perpetual quest of slimming down. It is not my obsession as it used to be, but certainly it's kind of like always on my mind. And so when I started doing that and I started to learn about muscle and how muscle is going to help your body move a lot more efficiently and AKA crush more calories in less time than just straight cardio, that's when my whole gym world flipped. And, even though I wasn't necessarily losing weight or making like progress in my health goals when I was just doing all this cardio, that first 6 months though was still critical because I was having a lot of fun. So I established the gym, the relationship between me and the gym as something that I looked forward to and I really liked in those first 6 months. And then when I started taking all the other like harder conditioning and strength classes, I then could stick with it. It wasn't like, I don't like this class, so suddenly I'm going to stop working out. It was, no, I don't like this class, let me just try another class instead of just completely walking away. So, those first 6 months were also very critical in terms of my friendship and now my love affair with Jim.
Wow. It's interesting because I think a lot of time, like I know for me, I used to say, and I sometimes still say it, I like 2 exercises, yoga and walking. Like
I love walking too. Love walking.
But like I took I guess last year, maybe it was the year before, when The Equalizer came out, I was invited to do a self-defense class as a promotional thing for The Equalizer. And I was grateful that because I moved on a regular basis, I was at least able to keep up.
Yep.
But it wasn't until I took that class that I realized my body really needed to move in a different way, not just walking and yoga because that's what I liked.
Yeah. Yep.
You really do need to move the muscles, and if it stays consistent, it might still feel good to you, but nothing will happen because your body just gets used to that.
Exactly. I mean, this is, when you hear people talk about getting in a rut or hitting a plateau, we throw these words and these terms around, but not a lot of people understand what that really means. And you have just described it perfectly. It's you're doing something and you feel great, but the second you just take a step to the left and
Mm-hmm.
try something a little bit different, you're like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly, now that doesn't mean that I feel you need to change exercises every day, but depending on what your particular health goals are, then switching up is going to be really important for you. And it's important for your muscles. I think there's a big difference, in terms of what workouts you should do and when and how. People get confused and not sure what to do because, one, there's so many damn options, and two, everyone's saying something different.
Mm-hmm.
So if most people are at the gym just so they don't die and have a heart attack tomorrow. That's the majority of people who are there. It's not that they're there begrudgingly necessarily, but are they trying to get to the Olympics? No, they're trying to not feel as bad about the American diet that we're all on. And so switching up your exercises, it's a good idea, but it's probably less critical than someone, if you have more specific athletic goals in mind, or even weight loss, which is another big reason why people are in the gym a lot. You've got to keep your body constantly guessing. And that's when you switch up, like you said, when you went to self-defense, it was like, oh, what? Okay.
That's exactly what it was like.
Yeah. Geez, please put me in a yoga class. And I'm like, what had happened, boo? What had happened?
It's so, now, how do you, because I know, like, I definitely have a different relationship with my body and I was an active child. I was still round, but I was an active child.
Yes.
And I got way more sedentary in the 20s.
Whew.
And now I'm in the 40s, but now I can't. Like, over the summer, I didn't move as much because the excuse I gave myself was that it was hot. When the truth is, I get up at the crack of ass every day, and I could have gotten out before the sun, and I just wasn't doing it. So just in the last couple of weeks, I was like, I have to move because there were aches and creaks that weren't there even 2 months ago.
Yep.
Because now I at least can hear what my body is asking me for. Have you found that since you move more and now that it's become a regular part of your life, like, do you find that, like, just the internal workings, do you feel more connected to what your body wants you to do?
That is a crazy question, because the truth is, now that this is my career, my body hurts a lot.
Really?
Yes, because, and you'll find this with actually pretty much every trainer on the block. For someone who does this full time, even if they don't, now I don't teach 40 hours worth of class a week, but I'm certainly moving around a shit ton more than I have in my entire life. This body is tired. And overuse, man, I can't even tell you. I have to fight myself not to do the class along with my students when I teach. Because if I took every class that I taught, I would be probably working out about 15 to 20 hours a week.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. It's a lot.
That's a lot. And I'm not talking about like hopscotch either, and I love strength training. I teach a lot of strength and conditioning classes. So yeah, I mean, physically, can I do quite a few reps of 15-pound dumbbells and doing bicep curls and tricep dips? Yes. Now, if I was doing that once a week, all right, cool, not a big deal. But if I'm doing that 3-4 times a week, and then pole dancing, which in layman's terms is moving my 224-pound body up and down the pole about 10 to 12 feet, and then on top of about the 35 miles that I put in a week on average, according to my Fitbit, just walking between gyms, your body's like, whoa, buddy, like, let's think about what you're doing before you get all hyped and crazy. And for me, I have to regulate how much energy I put out. because I am like an extrovert on crack. When I walk into a room full of people, I get so excited and I get hyper like a little puppy. And I just want to run around and play on all the puppy toys. But if I do that on a regular basis, I get burned out mentally and physically so damn fast. So I have had to learn to actually hold back. And I'm not sure if this is true for every single instructor, but like I said, because I teach, the classes that I teach require a lot. They need a lot of fuel. They need, because I happen to work with a lot of beginners who are otherwise intimidated and don't think that they deserve to be in that class or don't exactly know what they're doing. I've got to be the one to cheer them on when they can't cheer themselves on. And I love doing that. Holy freaking Jesus. I love being that loud, obnoxious cheerleader.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it's just, so with me though, it's really hard because I have to fight my natural instincts to scream all the time, to run around all the time, to pick up the heaviest weights because I can, to show people that I'm cool and I'm the teacher. So for me, it's actually, teaching has had the opposite effect. I need to pump the brakes.
Wow, it's so interesting though. Like, we often are called to do the opposite of what we would normally do in order for us to really grow. Isn't that fascinating?
Yes. And like I have to, and I work out like as a student probably only once or twice a week, honestly. And I honestly have guilt with that because I feel like I should be on top of my game a little bit more. But, when I add up all those like 5 minutes here and there from different classes that I'm doing, it's still a workout. Like I still have to constantly remind myself like, boo, you're hustling. Chill out, son.
Right.
Where my first instinct is to overachieve at everything. And if I'm not overachieving, then I'm failing. And that is problematic for so many reasons. But that's the truth about how I think. So again, my biggest challenge is to chill.
That's fantastic. So I have to hear the Howard Stern story.
Sure. So I was on America's Got Talent this past June. And when I was, so the most of the shows before it gets to like the finals are similar to American Idol style, where they film all these auditions for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And then the first batch of episodes that you see have previously, been recorded. So I actually filmed in March. And, truth be told, America's Got Talent, they found me on Facebook. It's
Really?
not a show that it's not a show that I watched or a show that I was like, oh my God, I really want to be on this. It was cool, but I just wasn't like obsessed with it. But then one of the producers found me on Facebook because of all the ignorant shit I put online and was like, we think you'd be great for the show. And I was like, haha, stop lying. And jokes on Roz, because it was 100% legit. And so I found fast forward to me on stage with my pole, with my parents and my grandmother, my aunt in the audience. And I had just done my 90-second routine. It didn't end up getting aired. I did see some airtime, but it was part of a montage. So it's one of those things, if you blink, you probably missed me or you could have. So anywho, so after I'd done my routine, and I was excited about it because I didn't bust my ass on national TV in front of 1,000 people. So mission accomplished. So one of the first criticisms that I heard from the judges was, from Howard Stern, and he had said, and I'm going to paraphrase here, I don't know why anybody would hire you in the fitness industry because you're too big, you're out of shape, and you don't look good, you don't look the part, and you'll never make a dime, and you should have stayed in your old office job. And backstory, I'd been fired from 3 different jobs because of pole dancing. So he said that, and it sounds really harsh and really bad. But truth be told, I expected that. And not because I think Howard Stern or anybody else is an evil person. It's just when you are a triple minority in something, and in my case, I'm Black, overweight, and female, and bonus, I'm kind of bald, in the fitness industry, you expect to hear some shit. And this is not the first time that I encountered it. And like I said before, no one has said that's 10 times nicer than anything I'd ever said about myself. So I wasn't bothered by it. I really honestly wasn't bothered by it. I was like, okay. The other judges were so nice and so supportive. I didn't make it to the next round, but I'm fine with that. My goal was just to get on TV. So I was like, well, I'm done. I did what I needed to do. So I was happy about it. But, of course, for other people, it sounds crazy. And it sounds
I'm over here thinking, fuck Howard Stern. That's what I'm thinking.
And I'm over here like, I really, really hope they air this. And not because to put him on blast, but because I will be on every blog. I'll be on every talk show. People are just going to want to hear that girl that Howard hated. I couldn't wait for my damn 15 minutes of fame. I was like, go ahead, Howard. Call me whatever you need to. As long as it sees the air, I was ready.
Right.
And it did actually end up happening just later. So either way, I got my goal. And so like I said, I can't be mad that Howard Stern said that. And, I do go into things just saying, you're not going to find a recording of what he said because it's not online. It wasn't on TV. So he doesn't necessarily have the opportunity to counter that, nor does he give a shit to. But I will certainly take how crazy that sounds if that means I now have multiple platforms to run my mouth.
That's true. Well, is that how you ended up on Upworthy?
Yes, that's actually how I ended up pretty much on this whole media blitz that I've been on for the last 6 weeks. Before America's Got Talent, I was fortunate because I'd had a lot of smaller and like up and coming blogs do some really nice pieces about me, and maybe my picture was flashed here and there. So I have to give so much credit to the first people before anybody gave a damn about me, my friends and all those early bloggers who thought I was cool from jump. And then when America's Got Talent came out, because I didn't, my full audition, since it didn't make the episode, there wasn't much noise to be had or to be heard. My friends in my personal network knew what was up because I didn't stop talking about it. But beyond that, it wasn't a big deal. And I believe it was actually The Guardian. And The Guardian, which is a huge UK online news outlet. Actually, one of my best friends from high school, her college roommate is an editor there and had been doing some slight stalking of me. And she commissioned a piece to be written or, like videotaped about me and what I was doing. She thought it was cool. And so once that hit The Guardian, that article and that piece actually got about 19,000 shares, which was phenomenal for me. And after The Guardian, then came the Daily Mail UK. And then even before Daily Mail UK, I got to the Daily Mail because there was a German, Ruptly, which is a German news sort of Associated Press kind of organization, as I understand it. They, they create clips and sort of stock footage and things and stories, and then they put it on the market to sell to any networks or anybody who may be interested in picking up that particular story. So before Daily Mail stuff came out, I recorded this with this one fantastic videographer, and when we went into it like, well, there's no promises. I don't know if people like this. it could be picked up by major news, or it could just sit on the internet. And within 12 hours, it got picked up by Daily Mail. And then Daily Mail, which again just has their reach is in the millions. And that's when Inside Edition called and HLN called and another TV show, which you will see me on hopefully within the next 2 weeks, they also called.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that set off a big wave of and then now I'm here and I'm doing a whole bunch of podcasts and interviews and things where I'm just so excited to be here.
I am so grateful because I didn't even know all of that. When I when I reached out to you, I was like, you know what? All she can say is no or just say nothing. But I was like, I really, really wanted to share your story because I know how important it is to see people that look like us.
Oh yeah.
And how easy it is. Like, you know, I've got a brown daughter, a dark brown daughter. Yep. That's full figured and beautiful. And one of the things that's been difficult for her is that she hasn't seen people that look like her. And even though I'm full figured, like I'm brighter than her, so I don't even look like her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's so important to me for everyone to be seen. And even now in this wonderful, you know, year of 2015, it is still harder for not just for Black people, it's still harder for darker complected Black people.
Yep.
And to be a Black woman and full figured and, you know, and Black, you know, like it's right, like all these, it's, you know what I mean? Like, so it was like when I reached out, I was like, I have to talk to her. I have to talk to her because people need to hear your story and people need to stop having like they put health in a box that, you know, and fat people in a box that is outside of health. And that's not always true.
Yeah. You know, and that's so important that you said that. And the importance of a role model, sometimes you don't know how much you need to see someone who does that until you see them and you're like, holy freaking shit. Like this just hit me. I remember having that feeling when ESPN did their annual naked body issue and Amanda Bigson was on the cover, and Amanda, who is a shot putter now, she's white. So we look, you know, very different, but she's just about my height. We're within about 15 pounds of each other. And she was naked on the cover of ESPN. And when I saw her, it was like, wait a minute, time out. This isn't someone who I can almost pretend to be like. It's not someone who kind of looks like me, not someone who sort of does something like, no. She is a woman with a very similar BMI, and she is doing a strength sport, something that people don't necessarily consider feminine because she lifts and throws heavy shit. And I immediately became a little bit obsessed with her simply because of that. And I've been fortunate because I have had students travel from 2 states away just to take a 90-minute class with me, sometimes not even a full 90 minutes, simply because I look like them. Not because we're best friends and I paid their tolls and they just want to train with the super uber best, but literally they have said, I came to your class, I saw you on YouTube because I didn't know it was possible for someone of my size to do cool stuff. I thought you had to be thin to be a pole dancer. And the other people that I've seen, my other friends, they don't get it. They don't understand that the same frustration that I have. And in terms of being a teacher, I think my size has been way more of an asset than it has been a downfall because my students are taking that extra, they're doing the extra set where they want to give up. But they see me and they're like, well, damn it, Roz isn't giving up his excuse. I hate her, but I guess I got to do this too. And they do it. And even in pole dancing, there are a number of things where, you know, you start going upside down and that gets really scary. And students who I think are definitely ready to start progressing doing that, if they're working with a smaller instructor and the instructor is starting to help them, they get terrified that they're going to fall off the pole and crush that instructor, and that person can't support them. Now, has that ever happened? Absolutely not. And even the smaller instructors are strong as an ox, but just that whole, you're solid. Like this, these mahogany tree trunks, they're not going to break easily.
Yes.
And so they'll have that extra 5 minutes of bravery that they won't have with others. You know, I do also want to recognize, though, that even though that works in my favor, I don't want people to discount smaller instructors as all being insensitive and not caring and not understanding your plight if you're overweight. It's different. And I understand I have a huge advantage in that I earn my overweight students' trust a lot faster and a lot easier than other smaller instructors. So I do want to acknowledge that I have a huge advantage in that, but also for everyone who's listening, don't automatically write them off just because they're different, because you don't want them to write you off just because you're different.
That's so important because it's so easy. I know I said this on another conversation, but I can't tell you how many times I've looked at a skinny person and thought, you need a sandwich. You know, and really that is not about them. That's about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, it's almost like, well, because I'm feeling shame, I'm going to now shame someone else, even if they can't hear me.
Yeah.
So the fact, like, being open-minded is so important in the body shame conversation, because it's so easy to do the thing that we don't want to be done.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, and it's so complicated too, because it's almost like a reverse racism thing. You know, people think like, you know, like Black people, for example, we can make as many jokes kind of about white people as we want, but there's still an element of we're mocking someone. And I mean, I damn sure do it, so I can't lie, but you know, and you know, I personally don't feel that, you know, body shaming and body size is any way equal to the inequities of racism. That's a whole nother blab, but
right.
You know, but I do see some similarities there. And it's, like I said, now it's also difficult because unfortunately it's been proven true a lot. I've heard horror stories from students and from other teachers who have felt like they like the students, they weren't accepted as they are. Or when they walk into the gym, the first thing they hear is, oh, let's get you to lose weight. Let's talk about weight. Or when people get, you know, it's most of the time, it's not because people are evil and they're just outwardly saying like, hey, you're a fat ass. It's more of people trying to be nice, but they're actually being obnoxious and saying like, oh, hey, welcome to the gym. Here's all of our diet solutions. And, you know, even if people and trainers, they think they're being helpful in bringing that up, you still cannot assume that weight is the sole reason that an overweight or a larger person goes to the gym.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful for you.
Oh,
like, I'm so grateful for you. I wish I lived in New York.
Well, you know, I do. For anybody who, I know we've got a wide audience out there, and I've got people everywhere from Canada to New Zealand listening. I travel. I have a passport and no kids, and just enough money to run away somewhere. So I'm not saying, but I'm saying you can just call and invite me somewhere. I will probably be there next week.
I love that. Well, I will put together a party, a pole dancing party. My sister has been wanting to do it, my older sister, and you would love her, actually.
Bring it.
Yeah, no, that would be so awesome. I am so grateful that with all that you have going on, thank you for joining this conversation.
Of course. I mean, this is, when people say like, I know you're so super busy, like this is why I'm busy. It's because of people from all corners of the fitness universe, when you make an effort to reach out, unless I literally just don't have time on my schedule, I'm so fortunate, I'm so lucky that people give a damn. And I will keep talking for as long as I can until my voice runs away from my throat. So thank you all. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for letting me run my mouth. I appreciate this a lot.
Well, I am super grateful that you joined me. So where can people find you?
Yes, you can find me at my newly launched website, RozTheDiva.com. That's ROZ as in zebra, thediva.com. That's my website. It's got all my stalker-friendly links on there. If you want to check out Facebook and Instagram specifically, that's where I'm most active. Roz the Diva. Boom. I make it very easy. I am one name across the universe.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask you a couple of questions before you go.
Oh,
so what's
sure.
your favorite body part?
I want to say my quads. They're pretty much rock solid, even though they're sore and tight all the time. These bad boys, they could kick a fool's ass right quick.
What's your least favorite?
I would say my gut. It's the lower part of my abs, which is where I store most of my excess body fat that I've been trying to divorce.
Well, you and me both.
Right? Yeah.
Are you comfortable with nudity, yours and other people?
You can't get me to put on clothes, boo. I'm a pole dancer. All we do is run around the naked internet on the internet naked. And for anybody who's watching, if you get bored or your boss isn't around at work, go to YouTube and I think my boobs are out at least 3 times. That I know of. So nudity, next.
Look, I love that. Like, I am nude probably 80%. I'm nude right now, like 80% of the time. Like,
I zipped up my onesie, but this apartment is birthday suit land because I live by my damn self.
I heard that. I love that. Last question.
Sure.
What comes to mind when you hear the word pleasure?
Sex.
I'm glad you said that because, sometimes people try to act like that's not it.
Son, listen, I'm not going to get you kicked off there in FCC, but I will leave you with, if everyone is consenting and there is plenty of protection, it's a wrap.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
And I love that you are so honest.
Oh, yeah.
And so real and so raw about your truth. You are just phenomenal.
Well,
look, you're my new best friend.
Bring it, okay? And again, I mean, I always say to my classes, if no one listened to me, if no one trusted me, if you guys didn't go along with my crazy, I would just be in a room running around screaming to myself. Then I look stupid. But when I have people that follow me and listen to my crazy, then it all makes sense. So without you, Stacey, without this platform, without your listeners, I have no career. So this is a team effort. Thanks, guys.
Well, I am super grateful. And I love everything you're doing. I love how you show up.
Thank you.
And this is just the beginning for you. Like you have a television personality. You're supposed to be doing this.
Well, not that I can give details, but hopefully within the next year, that may come to fruition. There's a lot of steps, but that's a conversation that's happening, and hopefully it will.
It's a done deal. It's a done deal. Like seriously, I feel that for you.
Thank you. I hope to feel that check with me too.
Look, you will. Look, you will, and then I'll be tweeting and like, oh, now she can't respond to a sister. Like, you are just so phenomenal. I adore you.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for all the work that you are doing for letting me have a voice. It just makes me feel like one of the cool kids.
Well, I am grateful. I just really I really want particularly women, and not to say that men don't have body shame issues, but
Mhm.
we have a whole different animal of it, and it's heartbreaking because like my work is sensuality, but the thing that is
Sorry.
the thing that gets in the way the most often is the body shame, like just not even being able to enjoy your body enough to receive pleasure. Like that is such a difficult thing when you like loathe the place that you live,
You know what? I'm sorry, last thing that moved me. That was in my spirit. The one thing when people ask, like, how do you, with all of the shaming that I've done and that I still do to my body, and it's ironic that I've chosen pole dancing as being like my savior, where it's a sport where essentially you run around naked, and the social history of pole dancing in America is about strip clubs, and it centers around women trying to pleasure men for the most part. And you'd think, why on earth would anybody who's so body conscious and ashamed of themselves, especially in regards to their appearance and their impression to men, why would they do pole dancing? The one thing that is bigger than my body shaming is my love of sex. And that is the number one reason why I stay on stage, is because I can, for those 2-3 minutes, I can at least forget about my excess body fat that I'm less than proud of, because I kind of get to have sex with the audience.
Wow, I'm glad you said that.
That's your next talk.
Look, one more question now that you said that. So how has that, I mean, because I imagine what you're going to say, but have you found that you embody sexuality in a different way since you started pole dancing?
I actually don't think I've embodied it in a different way. I think I can just be public about the truth.
Wow.
In a safe environment. And, I've been topless a lot in pole. And while in front of hundreds, well, now in front of the entire internet, so in front of the galaxy. And while a lot of people will look at an outfit or see someone who's topless or in pasties or whatever, and they will think, why is she showing off everything to the world? She should have some more modesty. You don't leave something to the imagination. They may see that as something that's damaging, but for me, I remember when I was too embarrassed to take off my tank top in front of people in class, because I didn't think I was allowed to do that, because I was the antichrist of sexy. I'm fat. That's like the worst thing you could ever be, because fat is just not sexy. So for me, bearing as much as I have in public is actually kind of therapeutic. It's more of me saying and reminding myself, like me being comfortable, like me trying to be like, okay, like you count. You're a person, Roz, and it's okay. So that's my take on public nudity and sexuality. Like I said, if anything, it's just me an excuse to slink around and hump the floor.
Look, thank you. Look, you are speaking my language.
Word, son. And even now, like I'm trying to keep it pseudo almost PG, but my friends and we have the dirtiest minds. I could tell you that we don't always fill up the stereotypes of what you expect a group of pole dancing women to do. And we're not trashy, but my God, if we don't have the humor of 5th grade boys in a locker room, I'll leave you with that.
I love it. I love it. I can't thank you enough. I really can't. This has been so refreshing. And I am so grateful that you are liberating women around the globe. Like you are international.
Thank you.
That there's so many people that are going to try this that previously thought that they couldn't because of you. Like you are opening doors. And who knew, right?
Never, ever would I thought that I would have been any sort of small leader in women's fitness and in pole dancing. Like, what in the hell? Nah, son.
You are a giant leader. Like, it is really like I'm so glad that I got to talk to you now, because I'll be able to be like, oh, what, we talked one time. Like,
listen, hit anybody who's out there, hit me up. It'll take me probably 3 or 4 days to get back to you. But if you don't mind being patient, I personally answer all my Facebook messages. I answer all my emails. Like I said, just not as timely sometimes, but it's me. It's me who's doing that. There's mostly because I can't afford and to pay somebody else to do it for me yet. Not yet, exactly, not yet. So I try and be as genuine and as personable as I can be.
no, you are, and it's authentic, and that is completely felt. So thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. And thank you guys, everybody out there.
Yes, well, I'll be uploading the recording, so I will share on Twitter and everywhere.
Woo-woo.
And if anybody, for everyone who's listening, the This Is Somebody conversation series happens most Wednesdays, pretty much every Wednesday so far. And I just want to keep the conversation going, like together, like we are all eliminating body shame, one conversation at a time.
I'm about it. Let's do it. I got
Excellent.
you.
Thanks, Roz.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.